Hi, in this video I will give a short overview of Android Studio. Android Studio is the integrated development environment that you need to use in order to create apps for Android. In Android Studio we also use the Kotlin programming language, and in order to create the graphical user interface you need to use a framework that is built into Android Studio. It's called Jetpack Compose. So in order to create apps for Android, Android is an operating system for smartphones. You need to use the Android Studio from Google. Of course, there are other solutions as well, but the default choice to create native Android apps is using the Android Studio from Google. In order to use Android Studio, you need to use the Kotlin programming language, which is built into the Android Studio. In addition to Kotlin, you also need to use the Jetpack Compose, which is a framework that you use to create the graphical user interface on your Android applications. So Jetpack Compose is based on Kotlin, so you basically create and design your graphical user interface using Kotlin. In order to deploy or install your application, make them available for others, typically you need to install them on Google Play, which is the official app platform for Android devices. In order to learn more about Android development, take a look at the homepage developer.android.com. So let's just open the web page. So on that web page you find lots of resources, tutorials, videos, examples, etc. to get you started with Android development using this Android Studio, Kotlin and Jetpack Compose. So the first thing you need to do is to download and install the Android Studio. It's free to use and you download it from the Android web page. Here you find a direct link, developer.android.com/studio. So let's just open that link. And then you get access to this download button where you can download the latest version of Android Studio. Just follow the instructions in order to download the Android Studio. So when you have downloaded and installed the Android Studio, you will get access to this software. When you start the Android Studio, you will get this welcome screen where you can create a new project, open an existing project, etc. So typically the first time you need to just click new project, and then you will get this window where you get access to different templates that you can use. And the default template is this empty activity, which you typically use at least in the beginning. And then when you create this an app with this template, the Android Studio integrated environment will open, and here you have different windows. Here you have a window with folders and files. Here you have the code editor. You also have a preview where you can see a preview of the application, and you also have something called the Android emulator, which simulates a real Android device or hardware. So basically you can create and test your Android applications without using a real Android device. You can basically use the preview window and or the Android emulator. So based on the code that you write, you can either see the result in the preview window or in the Android emulator. In order to set up and start using the Android emulator, you need to start the device manager. You find the device manager here on the right side. Just click on the button here to get access to the device manager. Basically the device manager is a tool that you use to get an overview of the Android emulators, and also you can also connect your real Android device either using a USB cable or over Wi-Fi, and all these devices will be available here in the device manager. There are some default Android emulators that are installed by default, which you can use in the beginning. Later you can also set up and configure your own Android emulators, assuming you have a specific Android device or you want to test your application on different types of Android devices. You can set up different devices here and use those to test your application on. So that's the device manager. You set up different Android emulators. You see real Android units that you are that are connected to your computer either through a USB cable or Wi-Fi. And then you will get access to the Android emulator, which is handy to use when you are developing and testing your application. So basically, you will see your final application running in an Android emulator, and this Android emulator just basically simulates the real Android hardware. So basically, you don't need a physical Android device. You can more or less during the development and testing using this Android emulator. You can also, by clicking here on these three dots, you can get access to extended controls, where you can test the different sensors that are part of your Android device. You have lots of different options you can use during testing, like battery, camera, location, phone, microphone, fingerprint, etc. So then let's start it with Android Studio. Let's create a simple Hello World application. So let's open Android Studio, create a new project, and make sure that this application can be tested in the preview window in the Android emulator. So now I have opened the Android Studio. Here is the welcome screen, where you get access to previous project that you have created, or you can create a new project by clicking this button. So then let's just create a Hello World application using this empty activity template. So just select this one, click next, and here you need to specify a name for your application. So then typically just Hello World or something. This package name, just leave it as default. So it's when you change the name here, also the name of the package name will be changed. Next, the location where you want to save your project. So just open this one, go to a specific folder that you have created on your hardware where you want to save this project. Select folder, and then typically now it will be saved here in this folder, but typically you also want to save it in a subfolder like this. So make sure if you change the name here to Hello World 2, you should also, typically it will automatically change to Hello World 2. If not, just make sure you change it manually. I'll change it back to Hello World, and then you see the path to the file location where the project will be saved will be C temp Android /Hello World like this. Minimum SDK, build information, etc. Just leave it as default. Click finish in order to start creating the project based on this empty activity template. Typically take a couple of seconds to get everything ready. So after a few seconds you will get this generated project for you, where you here on the left side has this window where you have the necessary folders and files. Typically this file called main activity.kt, KT is short for Kotlin, so this is a Kotlin file where you create your main application using the Kotlin programming language. And when I click on it, it will be opened here in the code editor. So here you have the code editor. So this is the auto-generated default code for creating a Hello World application. Next here on the right side, we have this Gradle. In the beginning, you don't need to focus on this one, so I just hide it by clicking here. But on here on the right side, you have this device manager that we was talking about. Here you see this default Android emulators that comes with or are included with the installation of Android Studio. Then you can, as mentioned, you can create your own emulators here. Basically select the phone or device that you want to create or simulate from the list and go through a wizard to set up a new Android emulator. But we will just use the default one, either this medium phone or this Pixel 7. Which one you use of those in the beginning is of course not so important. You just want to run this basic Hello World application. So that's the device manager. And next you also have the preview window. So here in the code editor you can choose here on top either code, split. So if I select split, you will also get access to this preview window. So first time you create a project or make some large changes in your code, you need to build and refresh. So let's just click on this button, and after a few seconds you will get a preview of the code that is created or generated here in the code editor. So after a few seconds, this is the preview window saying hello Android, and then we can go to our code. So here is a code snippet that makes sure that we see some results in the preview window. So let's here we have a function called greeting with the name Android. So let's change it to Android development or something, and wait a few seconds, and then this preview window will be updated with the latest version of the code. So in this case now it says hello Android development. So this is a so-called preview function which can be used to preview the results here in the preview window, while the actual code for the application is here in this main activity, where we have onCreate, this built-in onCreate function. Make sure to create the application itself, and inside the set content we create the graphical user interface that is displayed here in the preview window or in the Android emulator that I will show you shortly. And here you see we have also called this greeting function, which is defined here. All functions that define the graphical user interface in Android need to be notated with this @composable. This means this is a so-called composable function created with this Jetpack Compose, which is the framework in Android Studio to create the graphical user interface. So far we are using this preview window to see the result, but we also want to use or see the result in the Android emulator. So then we need to select either here in the device manager which Android emulator we want to use. I want to use this one, then I can just hide it. And here on top you see the same choice, so you can also change here. So I just want to use this one, and then you click on this run app button in order to build, compile and run the application and see the result in the Android emulator. So typically it takes some seconds to compile and build the code and open the application in the Android emulator. So after some time we see the app, or the result of the app, are now shown in the Android emulator here on the right side. So now we have the code here, we have the preview window, and we have the Android emulator. And now you see in the Android emulator it says hello Android, which you see here. So this is the startup code to create this application, where the graphical user interface are created here in the set content. So inside here the graphical user interface is created, and then it's using this greeting function, and it says Android, and then this greeting function is called, and it says write a text to the screen that should say hello name, and the name is an input argument to the function, in this case Android. So then basically hello Android is written on the screen. Then we can change it to something else, hello world or something. Then we need to rebuild the application or refresh it, clicking on this button, and typically after a few seconds the code will be rebuilt, and the new application will be displayed here in the Android emulator. So now it says hello world like this, because we changed it to world, and this startup code is calling this greeting function that we have created here, saying hello name, and the name is specified here, world. So hello world. While you see here in the preview window, this is only used in the preview window, so this is typically just used for testing during the development. So here we have created a specific function called greeting preview, and this also is calling the greeting function, but here is the name Android development. So here you see hello Android development in the preview window, and in the Android emulator you see hello world. So this is the actual physical application that will be created, while this preview window is just used for testing during development. So by default, this Android emulator is integrated in the Android Studio like this. We have these 4 different windows, but you can also click on this button window, and then the Android emulator will be opened in a separate window like this. So I guess it's up to you if you prefer it to have it as a separate window or integrated in the environment. Then you just select this one, dock, to get it back here. So basically that's it. This is how we download and install the Android Studio, and how we create a basic Hello World application in Android Studio using this Kotlin programming language and the Jetpack Compose framework that is built into Android Studio and Android development to create the actual graphical user interface. So that's all for now. So thank you and goodbye.